BMR's Tubular K-Member and hammer tone fits all 05 through 2014 Mustangs with standard motor mounts, and it's a great way for any Mustang owner to tighten up and shed some weight off their front end, while also making it easier to work on your car, install a set of long tube headers, or even go forced induction down the road. Now, in terms of the installation, guys, this is something that's going to warrant an easy button-involved 1 out of 3 wrenches in our difficulty meter here, about a 4-hour job, and I'll have more for you coming up on that later. So if you've been around or under your car a few times, you know that your car is a K-Member, and let's call it what it is. That K-Member can be a pain in the ass to work around. Now, if you haven't dived under your Mustang yet, you might not be too sure as to what the real-world benefits are of getting into a tubular setup like we have here today is, and I'm here to make this really simple with 3 words: weight, strength, access. Now, well, it's a little bit more involved than that, but this sucker was designed for street drag and handling applications, and first up, it is going to shed some weight off your front end by a bit. Your factory K-Member comes in at around 46 pounds, whereas this weighs 26 pounds. While 20 pounds sounds like a small number, every little bit counts in the real world. Now, by reducing that weight on your front end, you're essentially creating better weight distribution on your car, and this is going to help you get off the line that much better, take corners harder. Now, I will mention it now and again a little bit later that if you were to pair this with BMR's lower A-arms or other front end components, a 75-pound weight reduction is easily achievable, and that's a huge weight savings even in the track world. Now, not only is this lightweight, but it's strong, and that's something you'll want to see with any suspension component, especially a K-Member. Now, this is designed and made right here in the US, and it's manufactured from 1 1.25, and 1.5-inch DUM tubing, and it's 100% bolted, meaning that you're not doing any cutting or welding in the slightest like a lot of other undercarriage attachments require. Now, last but not least, this is finished off in BMR's black hammer toad finish, which is going to hold up for years, and it's not going to rust or corrode. Now, aside for all those reasons, if you're doing a set of long tubes on your S197 or you've helped a buddy out with installing them, you know that they're knuckle buster jobs. There's really not much room at all to work around down there. So BMR's Tubular K-Member was designed to provide more clearance for both aftermarket headers and turbo systems, which is going to allow for a much easier installation as well as upkeep and maintenance. So a couple optional upgrades that BMR recommends are going to be their A-arm support brace and their billet aluminum motor mounts, but bushings are something that I want to point out here too. Now, this is going to come with a set of soft polyurethane bushings, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that, but if you're looking for more performance, BMR's solid aluminum bushings are definitely going to be where it's at. Now, the only downside here when they're paired with the K-Member is you are going to be feeling a little bit more noise, vibration, and harshness, but with that said, we are just talking about bushings here, and I think the performance benefits outweighs the occasional bump and hum. Now, either way though, guys, expect to be spending just about $500 to get this onto your car, and that's typically where these are going to fall into line. But for the money here, you're not only going to be lightening up your front end and making it considerably easier to work on your car, but you're going to be creating that much more of an even weight distribution, which is going to help you get off the line better. Now, taking a step further, this sets you up to install upgraded A-arms as well, and with those, you would be shaving even more weight off the already heavy front end of your car. But switching gears to the installation portion, guys, you are going to be looking at an easy but an involved 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter here and about a 4-hour job. Now, you're going to want to start by getting your car off the ground on a set of stands, pulling your wheels and tires, and then you're going to want to start loosening the outer tie rod and nuts, and you're going to want to knock them loose from the spindle with a hammer. And once you're done there, loosen and remove the A-arm ball joint cross bolts and knock or pry the ball joints loose from the spindle. You're then going to move on to removing the front steering shaft bolt. Then you're going to want to unplug the wires from the front of the rack and pinion, then move on to removing the motor mount nuts from the top. So once you're done there, you'll need to support the motor and trans in preparation for removal of the K-Member and A-arms, and you want to have it placed directly underneath your bell housing. So once that's supported, guys, you're going to want to remove all 8 of the K-Member bolts and then lower that K-Member and A-arm and rack assembly. And you'll then remove the 3 bolts that connect the rack and pinion to the factory K-Member, or the 2 bolts if you have an 05 through a 2010. Using the provided hardware, bolt the rack to the K-Member, then insert the additional provided bolts, nuts, and washers into the rear of the mount rack and then tighten those down. So if you're going to be using the OE A-arms, remove all 4 rear A-arm bolts from the factory K-Member, and then you'll remove both front A-arm bolts and then remove the A-arms. Now at that point, you can then install the BMR K-Member onto your car using the factory mounting hardware, and then you're going to want to tighten everything down to 85 foot-pounds, lower the jack, and then remove it. So at this point, guys, you're almost done, but you'll need to get all of BMR's mounting hardware into place, followed by reattaching the tie rod ends to the spindle getting the electrical connectors back into the rack and pinion, then reinstall the steering shaft. And after that, it's on to the factory or BMR A-arms, followed by getting the ball joint back into the spindle, throwing your wheels and tires back on, and then you're ready to rock. So that'll wrap up my quick review and breakdown of BMR's Tubular K-Member in the hammer tone finish, fitting all 2005 through 2014 Mustangs with standard motor mounts. That's available right here at AmericanMuscle.com.